My name is Ethan Park. 17 years old, though the family portrait on our walnut stairwell would swear I'm frozen at 12. Back when I still believed trophies equaled love. It's late August, 6 a.m., and the kitchen smells like Dad's favorite Kenyan roast and Mom's citrus ginger toner. Morning at our house is a choreographed waltz, scalpel steady motions. No wasted words, no crumbs. I should feel safe in the ritual. Instead, there's a hairline crack spoon tapping inside my skull. I replayed last night's scene for the 100th time. Dad, fresh from the OR, still wearing clogs that cost more than my laptop. Glanced at my summer report card, 3.76 unweighted, then set it down the way a surgeon sets aside a dull instrument. Not bad, he said. For public school standards, Mom didn't lift her eyes from her deposition notes. He goes to Hawthorne Prep. Dear, mediocrity costs 40 grand a year now. Their laughter was mild, practiced, like they'd forgotten the target was flesh and blood. Physical note to self, shoulders clenched, throat metallic. Sometimes your own body testifies before you can. This morning I step around them, fetch a mug, pretend the joke bounced off. Dad catches the tiny tremor in my hand. I see it register, a faint tightening around his temples, then he files it away for later dissection. We'll discuss college tonight, he says, voice flat as an EKG line that hasn't spiked yet. Mom adds, remember, early decision apps open next month, full rides only. Ethan, keep your options. Lean. As if the universe hands out Ivy League merit money like club night wristbands. I almost laugh, but the sound sticks to my molars. School is no refuge. Hawthorne's hallways buzz with GPA arms races kids comparing weighted averages the way gamers compare kill-death ratios. Dean Sorensen's bulletin board lists early admits 2025, 3 names already under Stanford, 2 under MIT. My name is nowhere. I can feel its absence the way a tongue finds a chipped tooth. During AP Physics, Jenna Lee slides me her practice quiz. She's brilliant, but cripplingly shy. I correct 3 sig fig errors and return it with a smile. You're a lifesaver, she whispers. The words warm me more than all of Dad's reluctant nods combined. But warmth is brief. Bell rings, and Brian Mallory, the human accolade machine, waves his 4.228 GPA printout like a victory flag. You coming to the admissions workshop? Parker does 3 point whatever not qualify. His posse laughs. I file the sound beside Mom's citrus toner sensory triggers for later autopsy. Lunch. I skip the quinoa bar and hide in the robotics lab. Metal parts obey logic. Parents, not so much. I boot up the CAD file for our regional final bot and lose myself in gears until Mr. Anders, the faculty advisor, taps my shoulder. Heard your folks might not fund college. He says gently, my stomach cavity hollows. If you need rec letters or just ventilation, I'm here. I force a grin. Thanks. Sir, still gathering data? Data, distance, helps me pretend I'm a researcher, not the specimen. After classes, I bike to the university hospital for my part-time lab shift, dishwashing beakers. Logging isotopes, the pay is minimum wage. But the walk past alumni donor plaques feels like reconnaissance behind enemy lines. Dr. Patel, my supervisor, catches me staring at a marble nameplate. Someday that'll be you, she teases. I shrug. Only if marble's on discount. She doesn't laugh, she studies me. You know, resilience outranks pedigree in the long run. I pocket the sentence like contraband. Night falls. Living room lights glow museum soft. Dad sits at the grand piano he rarely touches. Fingers idling over ivory keys. Mom scrolls through financial projections on her tablet. I stand before them clutching a printout of tuition costs state school, private, out of state, each column highlighted in neon. I've drafted budgets. I begin, voice steadier than my pulse. If we split costs, Dad raises a hand. Scalpel sharp. Ethan, motivation is pure when it's yours alone. Mom nods, never breaking eye contact with her spreadsheets. We've agreed undergrad funding ends with a full merit scholarship. You're capable? Prove it. The living room's recessed lighting hums like an MRI. My mouth forms words my upbringing forbids. That isn't fair. Dad's brows knit. Equal parts disappointment and curiosity, like a surgeon surprised that tissue bled more than expected. Life isn't fair. Excellence is. Mom finally looks up. Her eyes' flawless courtroom steel pin me in place. Raise the bar, Ethan, or lower your horizon. I manage a polite nod, retreat upstairs, shut my door with surgical quiet, then the dam breaks. Fists press into mattress, jaw locks, breath saws through clenched teeth. Show. Don't tell nails half-moon my palms. Heart pounds arrhythmic. On my desk the report card glares a 3.76 Rorschach of failure no tutor can erase. Laptop open, FAFSA guidelines, independent student clauses, scholarship forums. Keywords blur into red, angry streaks. I bookmark a thread titled Dependency Override When Parents Refuse Support. The phrase tastes subversive. Electric. Outside. A thundercloud splits, rain hammering the gutters like applause from invisible sympathizers. Midnight. I draft an email. Hi Mom and Dad. College offices need a statement of financial intent. My finger hovers send. I'm not ready yet. But the hairline crack is widening. Stress fractures creeping through the marble. Tea grows cold. Phone buzzes Jenna Lee thanking me again for quiz help. Tiny spark of worth. I text back a smiley, then power off the screen. The house sleeps downstairs, but I can almost hear my parents' dream dialogue scholarships, rankings, bragging rights restored. I whisper to the dark, let's study the anatomy of neglect. Cliffhanger tomorrow. I book an appointment with our college counselor, my first act of rebellion wrapped in polite scheduling. Because if excellence is the only language they respect, I'm about to become multilingual. Yesterday, the hairline crack became audible, my parents' ultimatum echoing through marble halls, full scholarship or fund yourself. I spent the night trawling scholarship forums, fingers trembling over the send button of a draft email that could change everything. Now, dawn filters through plantation shutters like prison bars, and I'm late for an appointment I booked in a full whisper, college counselor. 7:45 a.m., sharp. Mr. Grayson's corner room smells of dry erase markers and stale coffee, a comforting contrast to the antiseptic perfection of my kitchen. He gestures to a chair. Ethan, your email said urgent. What's up? I slide him the neon-highlighted tuition spreadsheet. My parents have revised their policy. He scans, jaw tightening. They're refusing all aid. Unless I secure a full ride. My voice sounds calmer than the pulse thrashing in my ears. He exhales through his nose the sound guidance counselors make when they want to curse. All right, we strategize. For 30 minutes, we map contingencies, merit grants, outside foundations, the nuclear option dependency override. I learn the vocabulary of institutional leverage, documented refusal, pattern of neglect, third-party affirmation. Before I leave, Mr. Grayson prints a checklist. At the bottom, he scribbles in blue ink, "You are not average." I fold it like a talisman. If proof of neglect is my admission ticket, the next 72 hours will be an evidence-gathering heist conducted under the surveillance of two professionals trained to detect lies. First period. Brian Mallory announces his Stanford early action interview. Looking at me the way a wolf double-checks a fence, I grin wider than necessary predators hate confusion. Second period. The school newsletter runs a feature alumni spotlight, Dr. Caleb Park, saving hearts worldwide. There's a photo of Dad beside a silver stent. Beneath it, a tagline, "Excellence is hereditary." The irony would be comical if it didn't burn. At lunch, Jenna Lee slides into the seat across from me. "You look wired." She says, "I'm reverse engineering a system." I reply, half joking. She blinks, then hands me a chocolate chip cookie. Fuel. Simple kindness feels illicit in a place where empathy is extracurricular. I pocket the cookie. Evidence comes in many forms. That evening, I wait until Dad's Tesla hums into the garage and Mom's kitten heel clicks fade upstairs. I creep to the family computer, a fortress of firewalls and color-coded files. Inside the college planning folder, I locate a spreadsheet titled Ethan Budget Conditional. Conditional because love is a contract here. I screenshot the sheet, note the tab that reads, Plan B loan only. A floorboard creaks, my blood carbonates. But it's just the HVAC kicking on, sighing like a co-conspirator. Step 2. Confirm refusal in writing. I revise last night's draft. To Mom and Dad, college financial aid offices need documentation of your funding decision. Could you please reply, clearly stating the level of support you're willing to provide? I hit send and feel the room tilt. Fear, relief, destiny. Who can tell the difference at 1 a.m.? T-minus 24 hours later. Mom makes salmon roulade. Dad decants a Pinot to celebrate Brian's Stanford interview. Translation, to remind me of the league I'm not in. Conversation meanders to GPA rankings. Every turn is a paper cut. I clear my throat. Did you see my email? Dad wipes his glasses. Surgical pause. We did. Expect a reply. Mom adds extra lemon to the fish. Like acidity can sterilize guilt. Remember. Ethan. Adversity builds character. I nod. Counting heartbeats. The more they sermonize, the thicker the affidavit. 11:17 p.m. My phone buzzes. Subject line, refunding decision. Ethan. As discussed, we will not be contributing to your undergraduate expenses. Consider this final. Love. Mom and Dad. 3 sentences, signed with paternal detachment and maternal punctuation. I forward it to a secure folder. Triple backup to cloud. USB, encrypted drive. My hands shake not from sadness, but from the electric surge of leverage crystallizing into evidence. I'm one witness short a third-party statement verifying the pattern. Tomorrow, Brunch with Dad's colleagues offers an open mic of condescension. All I need is 15 seconds of audio. I charge my phone, check storage plenty. As I slip the device under my pillow, a thought surfaces. Excellence is hereditary. Good. Time to show them recessive traits can be lethal. I arrive early. Phone set to voice memos, screen dimmed. The table glitters with cutlery. Each fork looks like a scalpel. Dad sits flanked by Dr. Chen and Dr. Voss, demigods in white coats gone casual. Mom enters last, Prada sunglasses crowning her like litigation laurel. Small talk swirls organ transplants, malpractice premiums, the golf charity. I butter a roll, pulse steady as a metronome. Then Dr. Voss chuckles. Caleb, heard your boy's GPA dipped below 4. That can't be right. Dad shrugs. Theatrical resignation. We're withholding tuition. He needs pressure to excel. Mom adds. Nothing sharpens a blade like cold steel. Click. My thumb taps the hidden volume rocker, bookmarking the audible sneer of entitled laughter. The conversation pivots to Ivy League projections. My existence becomes a cautionary tale told over Eggs Benedict. I smile, ask for more hollandaise, and collect every syllable like gold filings. 37 minutes, 15 seconds raw, unfiltered condescension. Enough. As we leave, Dad claps my shoulder. See, inspiration comes in many forms. I nod, pocket vibrating with proof. Monday, 7 a.m. Mr. Grayson locks his office door behind us. I play the audio. His eyes widen with each guffaw. When it ends, he exhales a single word. Appalling. He drafts an affidavit. I, Daniel Grayson, certify that Ethan Park's parents possess ample resources yet refuse educational support. Citing motivational strategy, he prints, signs, notarizes in the admin office. Stamp chills the paper like a brand. Checklist. Status. Written refusal. Third-party affidavit. Audio corroboration. Only the letter of strategic intent remains. The pitch to colleges explaining my situation without sounding like a soapbox martyr. Midnight again. Bedroom lit by laptop glow and the taunting blue of my 376. I start typing. A heart surgeon taught me blood is just data at body temperature. An attorney taught me truth is negotiable until sworn. Their lessons fused into a single equation when power withholds. Knowledge repurposes. Draft after draft. I strip self-pity. Splice resilience. The narrative arc childhood of calibrated excellence, ultimatum, self-sponsored lab work, discovery of dependency overrides. I close with a line like a suture knot. Excellence is hereditary, but integrity is elective, and I'm registering for the course myself. Save, backup, word count 650, character count under limit, perfect. I aim for 3 loan-free liberal arts bastions plus 1 wildcard tech institute that funds independent students. Common App sections fill like IV bags coursework. Honors, part-time employment. Under unusual circumstances, I attach parental refusal email, PDF. Mr. Grayson's affidavit PDF. 30-second audio excerpt. Clipped for clarity MP3. Personal essay. Dump EX and plain text. Upload progress bars crawl, each a lifeline thrown across uncertain water. By dawn, applications transmit with digital thuds. Confirmation emails bloom in my inbox like midnight lilies. I fall asleep dressed, fingers still curled around the mouse. While I wait, life at Hawthorne mutates. Dean Sorensen discreetly congratulates me on creative problem solving. Though gossip hasn't caught up yet, Brian Mallory corners me by the trophy case. Rumor says you're begging colleges to pity you. I grin. Rumor's half right, turns out pity converts nicely into grants. His smirk flickers. Predators dislike prey that bites back. Jenna notices my lighter stride. We share study hall, she asks nothing. Offers gum. Silent alliances matter. At home, tension thickens. Dad rehearses a keynote speech. Mom reviews deposition binders. Yet both monitor me from peripheral vision. They sense a balloon inflating but can't locate the helium tank. Friday, 4:13 p.m. Mr. Grayson's number flashes, voice trembling with restrained triumph. Ethan, Amherst requested a phone interview. They rarely do that for override cases unless they're highly interested. Adrenaline floods. When Monday, 10 a.m., I'll excuse you from class. Be ready to discuss independence and resilience. I thank him. Hang up. And immediately craft cue cards, lab anecdotes. Budgeting spreadsheets. The cookie Jenna gave me still wrapped a tactile reminder that kindness survives pressure. I also schedule a campus tour for Williams' preemptive strike. Every step now doubles as both application follow-up and psychological campaign, proving to myself I belong, and proving to future admissions that I'm already walking their quads. Saturday dawn approaches. Parents announce a family hike to reconnect. I suspect an interrogation disguised as nature. Fine, I've mastered open heart procedure language. Wilderness metaphors should be easy. Besides, I carry a new weapon they can't confiscate: certainty. The trailhead smells of pine and damp earth, but tension has its own scent: ozone before lightning. Dad sets the pace. Lun Mom walks beside him, hair braided, eyes scanning for weakness like opposing counsel. I trail a step behind, counting stones. Half a mile in, Dad finally speaks. Ethan, your counselor emailed about special circumstances forms. Care to explain? I steady my breath. Just paperwork colleges need. Mom's laugh is short. Judicial. Colleges don't ask for affidavits unless something's amiss. I shrug. Maybe they're curious how a kid funds tuition with a part-time lab job. Rocks crunch, birds gossip overhead. We round a bend where the valley yawns open privacy and panorama. Mom stops, pivots. Are you misrepresenting us? Her voice could cross-examine a granite wall. I meet her stare. Truth isn't misrepresentation. Echo their lesson-backed judo of rhetoric. Dad's brow creases. Son, reputations matter. Surgeons and attorneys don't like surprises. I smile, thin as fishing line. Then maybe they shouldn't create them. Silence. Wind saws through cedars. The moment hangs, uncut. Then Dad marches on. Verdict deferred. They think conversation equals control. I know control is choosing what stays unsaid. Monday, 10 a.m., Mr. Grayson's office again. But this time his tie is slightly crooked, tells me he's rooting. Laptop screen flickers. Miss Ramirez from Amherst appears. Warm brown eyes framed by bookshelves. Questions come surgical swift. Describe a moment you acted alone against expectation. I recount restocking isotopes after a 12-hour school day. No ride home. Bus fare siphoned from lunch money. What motivates independence? Knowing reliance can be rescinded without notice. I answer, calm as a cadaver lab. Midway. She leans closer. You requested a dependency override. How would parental backlash affect you on campus? I inhale the forest conversation still ringing. Backlash is just feedback. I'm fluent in feedback. She smiles. Types notes. Final question. Anything else we should know? I hold up the talisman checklist Mr. Grayson signed. Only that proof and perseverance travel with me. Call ends. Mr. Grayson pumps a discreet fist. I exhale for the first time in 10 minutes. Friday. Dad's at a cardiac symposium. Mom deposing a biotech CEO. Perfect cover for my day trip. Williams campus glows maple gold. Tour guide beams about tutorials and grant-funded research. I linger by the science center, imagining my name on lab glassware, not donor marble. During info session, An admissions officer recognizes me from my file. We chat. She mentions the override committee meets next week. Eyes twinkle. Your documentation is thorough. I thank her. Pocket a purple pennant like a battle flag. Sunday dawn, 2 new subject lines. Amherst dependency. Override approved conditional admission pending. Williams interview request. Financial circumstances review. Heart drums a Morse code I've never heard. Conditional admission isn't a victory yet, but it's breach in the wall. I forward both to Mr. Grayson. He replies with a gif of a rocket launch. Jenna texts a row of confetti emojis followed by, knew it. I let myself grin wide. Unguarded. Evening family dinner. Table set with surgical precision seared ahi. Microgreens. Tension. Mom's phone buzzes Hawthorne's weekly counselor digest mentioning students navigating unique financial paths. I watch her expression stiffen like setting plaster. She slides the phone face down. Ethan. Any news we should be aware of? I spear a piece of tuna. Mostly good, but admissions officers respect confidentiality. You understand. Gentle scalpel twist. Dad breaks script. We deserve transparency. I meet his eyes. Transparency is mutual. Their forks pause. I can almost hear gears grind professionals realizing they cannot subpoena a son. Tuesday. Hawthorne announces a first-ever Decision Day livestream to celebrate early results. Mr. Grayson pitched the idea. Admin loved the PR angle. Seniors can opt in. I sign immediately. Parents must now choose attend and risk public exposure, or skip and appear indifferent. That night, I print the event flyer and tape it to the Sub-Zero fridge. Dad reads, lips thinned. Mom studies me like a hostile witness refusing to crack. They say nothing, which screams volumes. In my room, I cue the brunch audio, the refusal email, screen captures of override approvals digital dominoes lined up. One nudge and they'll topple into public domain. I set a calendar alert, Decision Day, 14 days. Then I open a blank document titled, Speech if asked to comment. First line neglect isn't always absence. Sometimes it's perfectly present. Wearing a tailored suit, I close the lid, heart steady. Outside. Leaves finally loosen from summer's grip, spiraling toward earth. By the time the last one lands, reputations will too. Decision Day arrives like a curtain call. No one can dodge. Hawthorne's auditorium mahogany seats. LED spotlights now houses a portable broadcasting rig and 2 seniors from AV Club buzzing about bitrate. Every applicant who opted in sits alphabetically. That puts Mallory, Brian 3 chairs to my left, radiating entitlement, and Park, Ethan dead center, heart hammering like a missynced metronome. I scan the audience, teachers, classmates' families, even local press with boom mics. But the parental row where mom's litigation black blazer and dad's navy surgical jacket should gleam is conspicuously empty, so they've chosen invisibility. Fine, cameras broadcast confidence better than couture. Principal Ortega steps to the podium. Today we celebrate perseverance. The livestream chat flickers on the giant screen behind her emojis. Usernames I don't recognize. A steady climb in viewer count. My phone vibrates with Jenna's text from the front row of orchestra rehearsal. Watching, proud. Ortega starts alphabetical envelopes. Stanford, Notre Dame, Caltech. When Brian strides up for his reveal, he winks at the camera. Envelope slit, card lifted, Stanford deferred. His smile fractures. Audience claps politely. I file the sound for later replay. 2 names later. My turn. My shoes chew the hardwood as I cross the stage. Palms humid but steady. Mr. Grayson stands at podium flank, envelope purple and gold. Microphones hiss. I lean in so livestream viewers catch every syllable. Ethan Park. Ortega announces, decision from Williams College. I inhale, slice the seal. White cardstock, embossed crest, 6 words in bold. We are delighted to offer admission. My eyes race past confetti text to the kicker full scholarship, loan free. Independent status. My throat thickens, but narration demands composure. I face the audience. Card held high, accepted, full ride, not a roar and incision. Cheers erupt. Chat explodes. Legend. Tuition slayer. Parents who. The AV kid zooms on the letter. Viewers screenshot receipts in real time. Principal nods me to the mic for optional remarks. I hadn't planned to speak yet, but adrenaline decides otherwise. Some of us learned excellence from unconditional support. Some learned it from conditional love. Either way, today proves one thing: resilience has better ROI than prestige. The room goes electric. Even Ortega blinks twice. I step back, letter raised like a surgeon displaying a successful graft. Backstage, my phone detonates Jenna's string of exclamation points. Mr. Grayson's proud doesn't cover it, and icing the local station requesting an interview about overcoming financial obstacles in affluent households. I forward details to my encrypted email. Timing is everything. I also see a missed call from Dad Mobile and a text, "Call ASAP." Another from Mom. "We need to talk about this misrepresentation." Misrepresentation, delicious word. Instead, I open Twitter, draft tweet, attach selfie with scholarship letter, add hashtag fund your kids, or watch them thrive. For context, I embed the 15-second brunch audio where Dad says he's withholding tuition. I hesitate one breath, then post. Retweets begin their centrifugal spin. Outside, clouds bruise the sky as storm front meets mountain air. I answer the FaceTime from home driveway to capture ambient thunder. Mom's face fills the screen, jaw clenched. Dad hovers behind her, scrubs under his white coat on call, but the real emergency is optics. "Ethan?" she starts, voice low enough to sear. "Why is the internet accusing us of negligence?" I switch to landscape orientation for better framing, because I submitted documentation you supplied voluntarily. Remember, we will not be contributing. Consider this final. Dad leans in. "That was private. So was my tuition plan." I counter, "Privacy is reciprocal." Lightning forks behind me. Microphone picks up the crack. Poetic. Mom pivots to strategy. "This can damage future malpractice cases. We require a public retraction." I smile with scalpel calm. "Happy to clarify, just email Amherst and Williams indicating full financial support. They'll revoke the override. Invoice you approximately $330,000 over 4 years, and I'll retract dependency claims." Over 4 to. Silence. Rain begins. Staccato on Tesla's hood. Dad pinches the bridge of his nose, a gesture usually reserved for post-op complications. "We need to discuss," he says, and drops off the call. Conversation ended. Negotiation opened. The tweet vaults past 10,000 likes by evening. A parenting podcast DMs for guest appearance. BuzzFeed lists me in 5 teens who outsmarted the system. Meanwhile, hospital nurses whisper about the surgeon whose kid exposed hypocrisy, and Mom's firm circulates the clip in Slack with popcorn emojis. I spend the night drafting polite declines, no interviews until final decisions. Strategy demands pacing reveal, recoil, reveal. 3 days later, Amherst's subject line glows admission plus complete funding approved. They include a $5,000 research stipend. I forward to parents with the single word update. Dad replies, "We're proud. Let's talk." Proud first usage in recorded history. I archive it, proof that vindication sometimes whispers before it shouts. That weekend, a courier delivers a thick envelope to our doorstep, my parents' donation pledge to Hawthorne Scholarship Fund bearing my name. Reputation triage. I allow it. Every empire pays tribute eventually. I accept Williams. Amherst will remain glorious leverage. Graduation looms, but one final act waits: commencement speech lottery. If selected, I'll get 15 unfiltered minutes before parents, board members, and live stream audience. The application asks for a proposed title. I type scalpels, lawsuits, and the anatomy of respect. Submit. Close laptop. Thunder outside subsides. But inside, the storm is just beginning to write its epilogue. Auditorium empty, save for Principal Ortega, Mr. Grayson, and 2 AV techs aligning follow spots. I stand center stage, speech tablet humming in my palm. Class of 2025, today we dissect the myth that excellence requires cruelty. My voice bounces off walnut paneling. No tremor. Ortega smiles, but checks the teleprompter speed as if fearing sharp edges. Grayson mouths perfect and gives a covert thumbs up. Outside, parents gather schedules. I glimpse Mom's black blazer and Dad's scrub green tie through glass doors, predators scenting a trap they can't quite see. Sunshot morning, caps, gowns, orchestral brass. Dad and Mom occupy the VIP row this time. PR advisor between them like a tourniquet. The stadium's LED scoreboard shows 12K viewers and climbing. I sit among tassel-fidgeting classmates until Ortega cues the podium. Breath in, walk. Each footfall feels amplified, bone to mic stand. I catch Jenna's small nod from concert band, first chair silent metronome of solidarity. I open with the standard Latin quote, then flip the scalpel. A surgeon once taught me the body can survive on half a heart, but never on half an artery. Likewise, a family can survive on limited funds, but not unlimited respect. A Ripple teachers stiffen, camera zoom, I keep operating. Some of us were financed with blank checks, others with blank stares. When support was withdrawn, we became our own scholarship committees. Parents shift, Mom's jaw flexes, I place the blade deeper. I learned that neglect isn't silence. Neglect is conditional love spoken in a calm, reasonable tone, but I also learned resilience, the art of turning no into line item 0. And so, to the institutions that believed in my independence, thank you for proving that excellence can be elective. 2. Applause swells, I close with soft mercy. To those still learning how to show pride without prerequisites, my door at Williams College will always be open. Office hours are unconditional. I step back. Silence, then thunder. The scoreboard viewer count spikes. Chat floods with emojis. Ortega wipes a tear. Dad stares as if mid-MRI. Diagnosis uncertain. Backstage. Local reporters flank me. I grant a single quote. Every scholarship is a suture on a wound someone else inflicted. The line trends within minutes. Mom corners me near the refreshment tent. PR advisor in tow. Ethan. That speech jeopardized our professional standing. I sip lemonade. Truth can be acid or antiseptic, depending on the infection. Dad tries a softer incision. We're adjusting. We'd like to help furnish your dorm. That's generous, I reply, but Williams already did. I hand them a campus bookstore gift card, $50, my treat. Micro charity has its own sting. Late August. Berkshire Hills smell of rain and scholarship possibilities. Dorm 204 cinder block walls now draped with robotics posters and one framed artifact, the refusal email, matted in museum white. Beneath it, a sticky note from Jenna mailed over: summer excellence isn't hereditary, friendship is. Move-in day. Volunteers heft boxes. My parents arrive last. Tension subdued. They place a fruit basket on the desk. Avoid the framed email like a live wire. Dad clears his throat. We donated to the school's independent student fund. Mom adds, and subscribe to the live stream channel you intern with. It isn't an apology, but neither is it another invoice. Progress is sometimes passive. They leave before sunset. I watch their car shrink down Route 2 until taillights vanish, then turn to my new keycard, purple and silver, independence encoded in plastic. Night settles. I sit at my desk, laptop open to a blank document titled Operating Manual Self-Funded Heart. First line: resilience is the scar tissue of dignity. Outside, students laugh, doors slam, a campus exhales beginnings. I close my eyes, replay that first crack in the kitchen months ago, feel the fracture lines now fused, stronger than original bone. The revenge. Not the live stream or viral tweet or public carve-up. The revenge is the quiet hum of a dorm fridge bought with grant money, the syllabus links in my inbox, the lined notebook scent of a life paid in full by my own refusal to stay undervalued. I tap the keyboard and start drafting part 1 of my freshman research proposal, because the best endings are really surgical openings, fresh incisions, clean fields, steady hands. Story 2. My name is Kalista Monroe. I'm 34, an interior designer by trade, and a self-made homeowner by grit. This house, my house, is more than wood and stone. It's a living record of every battle I fought to get here, and I haven't spoken to my family in 9 years. Not since they decided that my refusal to follow their script was a betrayal too big to forgive. So when my phone rang last spring and I saw her name, Martha Monroe, aka my mother, the woman who perfected the art of polite cruelty, I knew better than to expect anything warm. Still, I answered, not out of longing, out of curiosity. Kalista, darling, she crooned, her voice drenched in fake sugar. How have you been? I didn't flinch. Fine. Oh, good, she replied. Breezy, like we just talked last week. Well, your brother is getting married this summer. Can you believe it? Carter's finally settling down? There it was, the setup. Congratulations, I said flatly. Thing is, she continued, there's been a complication with the venue. The country club had a fire in the ballroom, nothing serious, just smoke damage, but they're closed all summer. And then it came. I remembered that gorgeous article in Modern Americana about your home, Kalista. It's stunning. Really, the gardens, the barn, the exposed beams so full of character, just perfect for a small family wedding. She said it like I owed her a favor for complimenting me. You want to host Carter's wedding here, I clarified. Just a sweet gathering. 200 guests, ceremony in the back garden, cocktail hour on the patio, dinner under a tent. Of course. Of course. I paused, not because I needed time to think, because I wanted her to stew. I'll need time to consider it, I said coolly. She laughed like that was a silly thing to say. Well, do be quick. Dear, invitations should have gone out last week. Click. I stared at my screen, then laughed low and bitter, because of course she didn't ask. She told. That night, I sat by the fireplace with Zoe, my best friend, my chosen sister. She poured me a glass of Syrah and said what I already knew. They're not asking because they value you. They're circling because they want what you built. She was right. I hadn't heard from them since the night they told me I was no longer part of the family. The night I said no to the corporate job my father arranged. The man who believed success only mattered if it came stamped with his approval. 9 years ago, I walked out of their lives with nothing but my portfolio, a folding chair, and a 3-month lease on a shared office space above a dry cleaner. I've been building ever since. By the next morning, the Monroe machine had activated. First, a call from my father. Unlike Martha, Gerald Monroe never bothered with pleasantries. We need to start preparations, he barked, as if I were late to a meeting. I haven't agreed to anything, I reminded him. You will, he replied. Like a fact, the caterers need floor plans. The planner will contact you. No, how have you been? No, we miss you. Just demands wrapped in entitlement. This is my home, I said firmly, not a venue. It's for your brother, he snapped. This is what family does. Funny, the last time he used the word family, it came attached to a threat: take the job or lose everything. And I had lost the money, the name, the safety net, but I'd gained something more important. Myself. I'm not comfortable with this, I said again. This isn't about comfort. Kalista, it's about obligation. You owe this family. That word again, owe. As if I hadn't paid my dues in silence, in exile, in building a life without their blueprint. By lunchtime, Carter himself called. Hey, sis, he said like we were still teenagers sharing a bathroom. Been a while, I replied dryly. Yeah, life gets busy, he mumbled, then shifted tone. So, Caroline and I are really excited about the wedding. We saw the pictures of your place. She actually cried. Kalista said it's her dream venue. Dream venue, my nightmare. She wants to use the barn as a photo booth space and your garden for the ceremony. Your kitchen's incredible. By the way, perfect for cocktail hour. Also, she's obsessed with the clawfoot tub in your guest suite. Sounds like you've already planned it, I said. He laughed like I was joking. Well, yeah, the invites are already printed. Caroline's mom sent them out last week. I paused. With my address? Yeah, we figured you'd say yes once you saw how excited everyone is. I didn't respond, I just ended the call. Then came the voicemails. From the wedding planner I never hired. From my aunt. My cousin. Even people I hadn't spoken to since I was a teenager. Family is family. Don't punish Carter. Be the bigger person. The last straw came in the form of a post. A pastel watercolor rendering of my home captioned, "Can't wait to say I do in this dreamy space. 63 days until forever. Hashtag Caroline and Carter." My house, my garden, my address. No one asked, no one cared. That's when I stopped reacting and started preparing. I drafted an email, crisp, professional, final. To all parties concerned. After careful consideration, I must decline the request to host Carter and Caroline's wedding at my residence, while I wish them well in their marriage. My home is not available as a venue. Please inform all guests and vendors immediately. Continued use of my address or likeness constitutes unauthorized use and will be pursued accordingly. Zoe read it over, adjusted the tone, and hit send. The backlash was immediate. My father called first. "This is unacceptable," he growled. "You're embarrassing the family." "You disowned me," I reminded him. "You can't have it both ways." His voice dropped an octave. "You're not being mature." "No, I'm being sovereign." Then Martha tried, tears in her voice, tremble in her pitch. "I don't understand why you're being so cold. Kalista, this was a chance to reunite." "Reunite? You've ignored me for almost a decade. This isn't a reunion, it's a land grab." "Don't be cruel," she sniffed. "Think of Carter." He'd thought of me as a resource, not a person. Then Caroline's mother showed up. At my local cafe, in pearls and a cashmere wrap, she introduced herself like we were old friends. "I'm sure you'll come around," she said. "Family always shows up." I smiled. I did, just not for you. That night, someone filed a complaint with the zoning board claiming I was running an illegal event space. They came after my livelihood. They wanted to scare me into compliance. Instead, I hired security. Not bouncers, real professionals, ex-military, discreet, efficient. I documented everything, every post, every voicemail, every trespassing attempt. I booked myself a 4-day retreat upstate. Secluded. No cell signal, prepaid in cash. I wasn't just going to say no, I was going to be gone when they tried to violate it. Then came the smoking gun and email, forwarded to me by mistake, from Caroline's mother to the planner. If Kalista resists, it read, Plan B, install temp locks, have someone distract her for brunch, get inside early. They weren't hoping I'd say yes. They were planning to take it. June 24th, the day of the wedding that would never happen. I woke up wrapped in cool linen sheets, high above the coastline in a private suite I'd rented under an alias. Ocean breeze slid through the balcony door. My coffee was hot. My heart was steady. 9:37 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion detected gate entrance. I opened the security app. First, the white catering van, then Carter's Tesla, my parents' Escalade, Caroline's mother's gold-trimmed Range Rover. 2 more SUVs followed florist, photographer, planner. They came dressed for a wedding. But they never got past the gate. My security team, 4 men in plain black suits, stood silently, arms crossed, badges visible. They handed out cease and desist orders like party favors. Caroline's mother began arguing, hands flailing. Carter looked like he'd aged 10 years. Martha cried. My father turned crimson, pacing like a general who just lost the war. Guests trickled in wearing pastel dresses and linen suits, confusion slowly sinking in. There was no event, no music, no ceremony. Just cameras, court orders, and locked gates. At 10:45 a.m., the police arrived. I had filed notice days ago. Everything was documented. The officers were professional, calm. They reviewed the paperwork and informed the group that trespassing would result in immediate arrest. By noon, most guests had left. By 1 p.m., the caterers packed up untouched trays of canapés and champagne. At 3 p.m., Caroline sat on the curb, sobbing into her bouquet. My mother tried one last time, hands clasped, pleading, whispering something to the officer. He shook his head. The planner cried quietly behind her clipboard. At 5:27 p.m., the last car left my driveway. My guard texted all clear. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel revenge. I felt still. Still as stone, still as victory earned through silence. This wasn't retaliation, it was reclamation. They tried to take my home, my work, my worth, and I said no. And no was enough. 3 days later, I returned home. Everything was untouched. The garden still bloomed, the barn was locked, the lavender path still curved like a soft whisper toward the fire pit. I stood at the center of my kitchen, looked around at the walnut cabinets I built with my own hands, and I wept. Not because I was sad, because I was finally, truly free. Waiting on my doorstep were 3 envelopes, all handwritten, all familiar. The first was from my mother. Kalista, you've destroyed your brother's happiness out of spite. You're cold, you're vindictive. This family is better off without you. Martha. I folded it once, Set it aside. The second was from Carter. I don't understand what happened to us. We used to be close. Did you always hate me this much, C? I read it twice. He wasn't asking why he'd assumed I'd say yes. He was asking why the golden child didn't get what he wanted. And the third was from Caroline. Kalista, I'm sorry. I should have reached out myself. I thought everyone was handling it. I didn't know they hadn't spoken to you in years. They kept saying you'd come around. I didn't see it. I do now. I'm sorry. Caroline. That one stayed in my drawer. The others went in the fireplace. I didn't respond. I didn't post a rebuttal. I didn't send a public statement. Because here's the thing about people like that, they only understand control, and silence terrifies them. So I gave them nothing. 2 weeks passed. My attorney confirmed no lawsuits were filed. My permits were all in order. The complaints were dropped. My business was intact. Stronger. Actually, clients respected my boundaries. Peers sent private messages of support. One client, a publisher, asked if I'd write a piece on building spaces as acts of independence. I accepted. Then came fall. And with it, Thanksgiving. That year, I hosted 20 people. Zoe and her wife. Their 2 kids. Kelly with her new partner. Marcos and David brought wine and pie. Even my neighbor, Mrs. Patel, came with spiced cider and stories about her childhood in Bombay. We set up long wooden tables in the garden, fairy lights strung between the trees. Music floated soft and low. Laughter rippled like wind through branches. And for the first time in my life, I felt it. Not performance. Not obligation. Not guilt. Just presence. Just peace. They weren't here because of what I built. They were here because they saw me while I built it. They didn't care about my name, or legacy, or press features. They cared because I mattered. Not because of a title, not because of a shared bloodline, but because of how I showed up and how they did. 2. After dessert, Zoe clinked her glass. To Kalista, she said, raising it high, for building a home that nobody could steal, and a life no one else gets to define. The table echoed to Kalista. I smiled. Not the forced kind I used to wear at Monroe family dinners, but the kind that starts in your ribs and fills your lungs, because I knew they weren't my family by chance. They were my family by choice. And I had chosen well. Sometimes people ask why I never went back, why I didn't make peace, why I didn't accept the apology that never came. Here's the truth. Closure isn't something you get from people like that. Closure is something you create by choosing to live without needing them. They raised me to believe that love was earned through obedience, that boundaries were disobedience, that independence was betrayal. They were wrong. Love doesn't demand sacrifice of the soul. Love celebrates autonomy. Love shows up. My family didn't lose me because I refused to help. They lost me the moment they believed I'd always be available, no matter how invisible they made me feel. They thought they could disown me, then reclaim me when it was convenient. But I don't work on contracts of convenience. I work in permanence. In design, in dignity, in stone and soil and steel. And this is mine. Story 3. I never thought the sharpest humiliation of my life would come wrapped in white roses, crystal flutes, and polite applause, but there I was smiling through my teeth, sitting in a rented dress I ironed in a motel bathroom, pretending I belonged at a wedding that had already forgotten me. My name is Ariel Langston. I'm 34, a single mother, and a waitress in a fading corner of upstate New York. My life isn't glamorous, but it's mine. I raised my son, Leo, with little more than my 2 hands, leftover diner tips, and a refusal to give up. We live in a tiny apartment above a flower shop where the walls shudder every time a semi passes. Leo calls it our sky castle. I let him believe that. The night of the wedding, he wore a clip-on tie 2 sizes too tight. His face lit up like fireworks when we stepped into the reception hall. It's like a dream castle. Mama, he whispered, eyes dancing at the chandeliers. I smiled, let him believe that too. The bride, my younger sister, Celeste, always the golden girl. Celeste was born spotlight ready, tall, blonde, magnetic. She's the kind of woman who makes strangers feel like they've known her for years and makes family feel like strangers. Me, I was the girl who got pregnant at 25 by a man who vanished before the second pink line dried. I built a life from that moment forward, fighting for every inch. Celeste never fought, she floated. And my family, they adored her for it. Our mother, Joanna Langston, had a talent for subtle cruelty wrapped in silk. Her version of love came with strings, expectations, and the unspoken agreement that I'd always be the family footnote. I wasn't in the bridal party, not a bridesmaid, not even a greeter. The invitation had arrived with my name spelled wrong, tucked in with a generic printout thanking valued guests. No handwritten note, no phone call, just silence until she needed a full table count. Still, I said yes for Leo. He'd never been to a wedding, never seen his mom in a dress, never felt like he belonged to the polished version of the family I used to call mine. I rented a forest green gown and borrowed nude heels from my coworker. I did my makeup in the mirror above our cracked sink while Leo practiced saying congratulations in the hallway. He was so proud of himself, it hurt to look at him. The venue was stunning. Chandeliers, white rose garlands, and gold-rimmed glasses. A place that smelled like money and marble countertops. As we arrived, Celeste swept past in a gown that sparkled like diamonds. "You made it," she said flatly, glancing down at Leo. "He's getting big," she added, like it was a warning. No hug, no smile, just a quick acknowledgement that I existed. Then gone again in a flurry of cameras and lace. My mother didn't speak to us. She looked me up and down once, then moved on to fuss with table centerpieces like I was part of the catering crew. Leo didn't notice. He was too enchanted by the lights. We were seated at table 16 near the kitchen doors, close enough to smell the dishwater every time they swung open. I swallowed it. It was just one night. Leo was happy. That had to count for something. Then came the speeches. I didn't expect a toast. I didn't expect kindness. But I didn't expect public humiliation either. Celeste took the microphone, her voice dripping with charm. "I just want to thank everyone who's made today perfect." She beamed, "And I want to give a special shout out to my big sister, Ariel." I froze. She's always been resilient, a real trooper. Raising a kid all on her own. No husband, no help, clearly. No takers, but hey, she's here. Laughter. Loud, easy, effortless. It rolled through the hall like thunder. Leo looked up at me, confused. His small hand found mine. Then my mother's voice rang out. "She may be used goods, but at least she polished up nice for once." More laughter, this time cruel, sharp. I sat frozen, fingers gripping my napkin like a rope, faces turned toward me, smirking. No one looked surprised. No one looked ashamed. Even my grandfather. Once my childhood hero. Stared into his champagne like the answer was there. Leo tugged my hand. "Why'd she say that? Mama!" I didn't answer. Because how do you explain being erased in real time? That was the moment I knew. This wasn't my family. It hadn't been for years. I had let myself believe proximity could rebuild connection, but all it gave me was a front row seat to my own erasure. I stood. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't make a scene. I just said to Leo, "We're leaving." And then, from the head table, a chair scraped back. Bo Harper, Celeste's fiancé, stood slowly. He didn't look at Celeste. He didn't look at the crowd. He looked at me. Then he said into the microphone, "Calm and clear, Ariel. Please don't go. Ariel, please don't go." The words cut through the clinking glasses and awkward silence like a blade. For a second, I thought I'd imagined it, but then I saw him, Bo Harper, the man who was supposed to marry my sister that day, standing still, one hand on the mic, the other clenched tightly by his side. The crowd turned toward him in stunned confusion. I froze. Leo gripped my fingers tighter. Bo's voice was steady, but his jaw was tight. He wasn't smiling. "I need to say something," he said. "More to the room than anyone specific. Actually, I should have said it a long time ago." He looked at me, not through me. At me, really looked. "What I just witnessed," he said, "was not love. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't family." Someone chuckled nervously. He ignored it. "It was cruelty, disguised as comedy, and it made me sick." A ripple passed through the crowd like someone opened a window in the dead of winter. Celeste's face had gone pale. her expression tight, still holding her flute. She didn't interrupt, not yet, but I could feel her panic radiating across the room like heat. Bo walked forward, slow and deliberate, until he reached the space between our table and the dance floor. He turned to Leo first, kneeling to his eye level. "Your mom," he said gently, "she's the strongest person here. You should be proud of her every single day." Leo just blinked, stunned. Then Bo stood and faced the crowd again. "I don't want to be part of a family that treats dignity like a punchline." He turned to Celeste. His voice stayed calm. "You humiliated your sister. You mocked her son. You laughed while she sat here pretending to be welcome." "It was just a joke," Celeste said through. "No," he said, "it was a reveal, and now everyone sees it." Celeste's grip on her champagne flute tightened. Her smile slipped just slightly. "Joanna, our mother," stood up sharply, her voice echoed. "Bo, no." "Joanna," he cut in, "this is exactly the place, because you raised a daughter who thinks love is a performance, who thinks hurting people makes her stronger, and I'm not signing up for that." Someone gasped. Someone else dropped a fork. Bo turned back to me one last time. "Ariel, you don't owe them anything." Then he handed the mic to the nearest server and walked out. Just like that. Silence. Real, full silence. Not the polite kind that waits for the bride to speak, the kind that follows an explosion. I held Leo's hand tighter. Then Celeste laughed loud and fake, like she was trying to reset the whole evening. "Wow," she said, "so dramatic. Right, must be something in the champagne." But no one laughed with her this time. Not one person. Joanna scowled like someone had spit in her wine. "Ungrateful boy," she snapped, mostly to herself. What a mistake. I didn't respond. I didn't flinch. For once, I wasn't the one who looked small. We walked toward the exit, past tables of guests who wouldn't meet my eyes. Not because they didn't know what had happened, but because they did. Halfway out, I heard my name, Ariel. It was my grandfather Walter, once my fiercest protector, now just a man who'd stayed quiet too long. He stepped forward, his cane trembling slightly. "I should have said something years ago," he whispered, voice tight. "You didn't deserve this. I'm sorry." I looked at him, really looked. His eyes were glassy, his shame was real. "I know," I said quietly, and I meant it. Then I took Leo's hand again and stepped into the night. Outside, the air was cool and crisp. It smelled like rain and freedom. Leo looked up at me. "Is the wedding over?" I smiled. "Yeah, baby, I think it ended exactly how it needed to." We drove home in silence. No radio, no conversation, just the hum of tires and the occasional sniffle from the back seat. Leo didn't ask more questions. He didn't have to. I think even he understood on some deep instinctual level that we had just survived something, not a car crash, something worse, something invisible, the kind of crash that happens when a soul finally realizes it's been mistreated all along. That night, after I tucked him in, I stood in his doorway watching his chest rise and fall, safe, loved, untouched. The phone rang 12 missed calls, a few from unknown numbers, a few from family I hadn't heard from in years. I didn't answer. The next morning, my coworker Rosa texted me a link. "Girl, you need to see this." It was a video, shot vertically, grainy, but clear enough. Bo's speech, the moment he took the mic, every word. It had gone viral. By noon, it had 80,000 views. By dinner, it was over 200K. The comments were relentless. "That groom is the real MVP. That sister deserves the world. All my love to Ariel and her son." I didn't comment. I didn't even like the video. I just watched it once, then again. Then I let myself breathe. 2 days later, a delivery showed up at my apartment. No name, no card, just a small hand-wrapped box with a wildflower bouquet and a note that said, "To the woman who didn't flinch." I didn't need to ask who it was from. Celeste never reached out. Not directly. But within a week, every wedding photo disappeared from her social media. Her name changed back to her maiden name. Her Pinterest board went private. The countdown app vanished. No explanation, no dramatic announcement. Just silence. The kind that used to belong to me. Joanna called once, left a voicemail. "I hope you're happy. You embarrassed this family. We all bent over backwards to include you and your son, and this is how you repay us." I didn't call back. For once, I understood something crucial. I wasn't built for their love, because their love always came with a price tag, and I finally stopped paying. A week later, Leo was playing with his action figures on the living room floor. He had them all lined up like an audience. Suddenly he stood up, held his red Power Ranger like a microphone, and said in a clear voice, "Ladies and gentlemen, we don't laugh at people we love." Then he bowed. I blinked, swallowed the lump in my throat. "Where'd you learn that?" I asked, my voice tight. He shrugged. "The man with the microphone." "Bo." That stuck. And then Leo added, "Mom, he was like a superhero." I nodded. Yeah, baby, he really was. 6 months have passed since the wedding that never happened. No announcements, no explanations, just silence. Not the kind that used to suffocate me, not the silence of being ignored, overlooked, or barely tolerated. This was their silence now, the kind that fills a space when the narrative shatters and there's nothing left to say. Celeste never posted about Bo again. The bridal photos vanished, the registry links quietly deactivated. No heartfelt breakup post, just erasure, neat and clinical. Joanna. She called once. Not to apologize, not to ask how I was, just to say I'd embarrassed the family and ruined Celeste's perfect day. She called me bitter, said I'd infected the room with my resentment. I listened for 30 seconds, then said the one sentence I never imagined I'd have the strength to say. "I'm not your scapegoat anymore." And I hung up. No yelling, no lecture, no tears. Just a door closing, quiet and final. And the strangest thing happened afterward. Nothing. No fallout, no angry cousins, no chain of relatives asking me to just hear her out, nothing. Because when someone like Joanna loses control of the narrative, they retreat. Not to reflect, but to reload. I wasn't going to be in their sights anymore. My life didn't change overnight. I didn't win the lottery. I didn't move into a townhouse or get some miracle promotion. I still poured coffee 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. Still clipped coupons, still scrubbed our bathtub on hands and knees. But something was different. I was different. I didn't shrink anymore. I stood straighter, spoke clearer, walked into rooms like I had every right to be there. And you know what people noticed? My regulars at the diner started calling me Miss Ariel with a kind of warmth I hadn't felt in years. Rosa, my coworker, started asking me for advice. Even my boss, gruff old Paul, pulled me aside and said, "You're the glue in this place. You know that?" No one had ever called me glue before, but I liked the sound of it. Leo changed too. He stopped asking why we weren't invited to holidays, stopped looking confused when someone called Celeste the perfect daughter. He started making his own stories. One day he built a Lego city with a tall tower in the middle. "That's you," he told me, "the tallest building. Nothing knocks you down." That stayed with me. A few weeks before Christmas, I got another package. Same wildflowers, same handwriting. No note. Just a wrapped children's book, The Boy in the Mountain. Inside, a sticky note. For Leo, from someone who believes in quiet giants. I smiled. I didn't need to ask who it was from. Bo had disappeared from the public eye after the wedding, but once in a while, his name would pop up, usually tied to something quiet and meaningful. A fundraiser, a local volunteer initiative, a small interview where he talked about walking away from the wrong kind of legacy. I never reached out, not because I didn't want to, but because sometimes respect is loudest when it leaves space. We made new traditions. Leo and I, Thanksgiving with Rosa's extended family filled with tamales, loud music, and the kind of laughter that heals. Christmas in pajamas with pancakes and coloring books. On New Year's Eve, we lit sparklers from the rooftop of our apartment building, just the two of us. He asked if we could write down things we were proud of and burn them so the stars could read them. I wrote down. I walked out of the room, and I didn't go back. The flame took it fast. The ash floated upward like freedom. One morning, Leo asked, "Mom, do you think Aunt Celeste's sad now?" I paused. "Maybe," I said, "maybe not, but that's not something we have to carry. Baby?" He nodded. Then he asked, "Are you still sad about what they said?" I looked at him in the rearview mirror, his little face framed by his hoodie. "No," I said honestly, because I stopped needing them to see me. He smiled. Good, because I see you. And that undid me. Months later, I heard through Rosa that Celeste had moved to a condo downtown. No fiancé, no ring, no wedding, just her and her curated Instagram. I felt nothing. Not relief, not triumph, just peace. I didn't need her to fall apart for my life to come together. That was the biggest surprise. Healing didn't come through vengeance. It came through presence, through Leo's laughter, through hot soup and secondhand books and text messages from people who chose me. I didn't need a new family. I just needed to realize I'd already built one. It was Rosa showing up with medicine when Leo had a fever. It was my boss giving me Saturday mornings off so I could take Leo to the library. It was Beau's silent, steady, respectful, and never once asking for credit. One Sunday, Leo asked if he could dress up and take me to dinner. He wore a clip-on tie and cologne I didn't even know he had. We went to the pizza shop 2 blocks over and he pulled out a folded napkin with scribbled words. To my mom, you're the strongest person I know. I love you more than a spaceship and the moon together. Love, Leo. I cried right there, over a greasy pepperoni slice, while he beamed like he'd just won an award. And I thought back to that wedding night, to the laughter, the cruelty. The spotlight turned into a weapon. So they had tried to break me. Instead, they taught me to rise. Not with rage, not with revenge, but with quiet refusal. I didn't yell, I didn't throw wine, I didn't grab the mic and list my grievances. I stood up, took my son's hand, and walked out. Sometimes, that's the boldest thing a person can do. Epilogue. A seat at my own table. I used to think family was about blood, about showing up because you're obligated to. Now I know better. Family is who sees you, especially when you're not in the spotlight. It's the ones who don't laugh when the jokes come at your expense, who hand you the mic, not to fix what's broken, but to say, I hear you. I was never supposed to be the story. I was supposed to be a footnote, but I rewrote the page. And I did it without yelling once. That day, I didn't catch the bouquet, I didn't pose in any pictures, I didn't dance under fairy lights. But I walked out with something better. My son's hand in mine, my dignity intact, and a quiet, resolute voice inside me whispering, you were always enough. They just couldn't see it. But now you do. And that's the only redemption I'll ever need.
I stood up, took my son's hand, and walked out. Sometimes that's the boldest thing a person can do. Own table. I used to think family was about blood, about showing up because you're obligated to. Now I know better. Who sees you especially when you're not in the spotlight. It's the ones who don't laugh when the jokes come at your expense. Who hand you the mic not to fix what's broken but to say I hear you. I was never supposed to be the story. Footnote. But I rewrote the page. Without yelling once. I didn't pose in any pictures. I didn't dance under fairy lights. But I walked out with something better.